These 5 games are not underrated, just underappreciated. Are there games that you enjoy or love that are awesome games but may have been overshadowed by developers' more successful games or other games within its series? Make no mistake, these games are not underrated at all. Far from it, actually. All these games to some extent have high marks and ratings across the board. They may have been overshadowed or maybe even forgotten amongst its peers in general. These are 5 games that I need more love, shine, or appreciation. Number 1, ARM, Nintendo Switch in June 2017. This game, among Breath of the Wild, of course, and Splatoon 2, were in my opinion 3 of the best games that came out within the first few months of the Switch release. ARMS being the most underappreciated of the 3. With a colorful cast of characters that have extending arms for long reach, you can mix and match the type of arms you have on the left and the right. Using your arms to punch with the Joy-Cons, each type of arm has a specific ability and affect an opponent differently with each arm upon impact, like the boomerang arm. It is swift moving, has a large arc, and even releases boomerangs, or the Megaton, which moves slow but packs a major punch. When it's charged, it can block enemy punches on impact. Charging any arm has an effect like fire damage and electrical stuns, and the game included a block function and a slam grab. Fast, fun-paced gameplay similar to the boxing in Wii Sports. This game is much more dynamic, skill-based, and does have somewhat of a steep learning curve, but still fairly easy to pick up and massively fun time to play and even harder to put down. Though this game may have been somewhat written off by many gamers, assuming it was just another Wii Sports-like game or just a gimmicky flash in the pan type, this title offers loads in style, technique, and the game sold extremely well, with just under 3 million copies sold outside of its first year of release, even drumming up an esports scene. This game is very much underappreciated and absolutely deserves a second look or even first look for those who may have written it off. You may be surprised by just how good this game really is. Don't sleep on this title. With as much charm and style as any of Nintendo's most recent franchises, it may be one of the most fun experiences you can have on Nintendo Switch to date. Number 2, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. This next game coming in from one of Nintendo's most critically rated, longest running, and highly favored series across all gaming. Well known for its high quality marks, standard setting titles, Metroid. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is the second release in the Metroid Prime series, releasing on the Nintendo GameCube in 2004. The Prime series brought back Metroid into major prominence after a long wait into a highly received and highly favored first-person shooter genre. With its unmatched explorations, unseen graphical fidelity, and genre-defining aspects not seen before in other first-person shooter games, this series was set a high bar going forward for Nintendo as a whole. Upon release, much like the first game, high mark ratings across the board, highlighting the darkness, atmosphere, graphics, and top-notch gameplay that would have become expected for a sequel to Prime 1. The reason this game is on the list is not because it's not as good or worse title of the Metroid games. It's on my list because even though it may seem like it's less groundbreaking compared to its older sister, I could argue because of the deep storyline, the overall arcing environment, isolation, how Samus plays as an in-between the Luminoth and Ing War, and the first introduction of Dark Samus. This is definitely one of, if not my favorite games in the Metroid series, which is my favorite series. I absolutely adore this game, almost as much as the original, and I feel like the series that is known for being dark has never gotten as dark as this since, with the recent exception of Metroid Dread. To many, this title, seen as the black sheep of the series, definitely overshadowed by its older counterpart. In my opinion, this game definitely deserves more love and recognition. During the 90s to 2000s, where vehicular assault games were still seen as popular and fairly up-and-coming genre of games, many still see the Twisted Metal series as the best in the genre. I absolutely adore the Twisted Metal games, and I really enjoy my time with 2 and 3 on the original PlayStation. But running somewhat parallel to the series was another one that was fairly popular at around at the same time, and offered some great contributions to the genre as well. This is going to be a combo for number 3. It's Vigilante 8 and Vigilante 8 2 Second Offense. This series was released in 1998 and 1999 for the PS1 and later ported to the N64 and the GBA. One of my favorite games of all time, and I enjoyed it just as much and sometimes even more than the Twisted Metal series. With dynamic stages, better than even Twisted Metal at times, special abilities, input codes for stronger attacks, objective, character unlocks, this series may have been forgotten since time's gone on. It is a very quality series of games that always deserved more shine. Number 4, Jet Force Gemini. Released in 1999, close to the end of the N64 life cycle, this underappreciated masterpiece title was one of the last games that legendary Rareware Studios would release for a Nintendo platform. Known for their monstrous successful titles for multiple generations across Nintendo platforms, and would seem to some extent be Nintendo's golden goose. Rare has had so many masterworks with the likes of Donkey Kong Country series for the Super Nintendo, the Killer Instinct titles, Banjo-Kazooie series, GoldenEye. Their impact alone in the industry is well documented and truly head above a lot of companies during that time in the industry. With so many groundbreaking titles, it is easy to see how this third-person action-adventure shooter in space, inspired by dark and isolated dungeon-crawling titles like Metroid and platformers like Super Mario 64, could be overlooked. This game truly felt like a third-person adventure Metroid title. Playing as Juno, Vela, and Lupus, you would travel around different planets as each individual character from the Jet Force Gemini team as you attempt to liberate civilians and the galaxy from an ant army run by the evil King Miser. At your arsenal is an armory of large array of munitions, like pistols, machine guns, flamethrower, grenades, mines, and even a rocket launcher. This game has shooter action unmatched by many other titles, along with its multiplayer component, which I got tons of fun with my cousin and some friends. With amazing graphics for the time, oozing environments, a haunting musical score, exploration, and replay value for hundreds of hours. Those who know about this title know how unsung it is, and how it needs more shine amongst its rareware counterparts. And finally, my fifth most underappreciated, needs more love, and highly regarded game for this list is Mario Kart Double Dash. Released in 2003 for the GameCube, this title seems to be, in my opinion, one of the most underappreciated games within the Mario Kart series. Seeing as how the Mario Kart series is known for its quality, it has stiff competition with that lineup. When this game was released, the Nintendo GameCube sales were at one of its lowest points, with the competition of the original Xbox doing fairly well as the new kid on the block, and PS2 being the monster that it was. Even well-established and beloved franchises like Mario Kart couldn't really save it from its dying days. That said, this game and the ads for it, Super Smash Bros. Melee, were the sole reasons as I ended up getting mine about 2 years from the original release. The fact that you could play with two characters on one cart, with one driving and the other using the items, to me it was such a revolutionary idea, and I figured Mario Kart would never be the same after this. This ended up being the first game I purchased with my GameCube and loved it ever since. At that time, you never found the type of customization in a Mario Kart game before, as it was apparent that the team really worked hard to make this title the sequel to Mario Kart 64 that would attempt to meet and even crush its predecessor. The character had specific special items. Depending on how you would couple the characters up, you would have a combination of different items. You would swap between driving and attacking at any time. You and a friend could couple and play on the same cart, with one driving and the other using items, and you could play two characters on one cart by yourself, and you could even choose any cart that was based off a character in the game. I don't know if there's ever been a Mario Kart with this amount of dynamic multiplayer fun, battles, and character swapping as this one. In terms of sales, this title was only bested by one other game, being Super Smash Bros. Melee, so it was truly a popular game for the GameCube as a whole. I never expected that the next Mario Kart would abandon this idea, but admittedly, and from feedback I've heard from many friends, is that the game seemed to depart a little too much from the standard formula, going too out there with the double cart, as after some time playing the item user wasn't as dynamic as driving, and may have seemed a little too complex for the everyday player. For whatever reason, Nintendo never went back to this idea, and us fans of this title have been clamoring for a sequel or even a re-release or remaster in this highly loved and underappreciated GameCube classic. Keeping prayers we get the sequel, people. This is my list of 5 games that need more love, appreciation, or shine. Do you think these titles are forgotten, underappreciated, or hiding in the shadow of other titles? What are some of the games I missed or you would add it to your list? Leave them down below, and let me know your experience with these games. I'd like to see what y'all come up with. On the way out, I just wanted to give a bonus title of underappreciated games that you might have shrugged off. The original Resident Evil 4 that was ported to the Wii had great motion controls and has seemed to be forgotten. If you love this game and haven't tried it with the Wii motion controls, it really does add to the immersion. That's all from me, guys. Thank you for getting this far. I deeply appreciate it. Please go ahead, hit that like button, and subscribe. Otherwise, you'll miss out on the best of what's come. One up, Ming. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Later.